Dave Barber in a segment we call Capitol Spotlight. We do it each and every week on Capitol TV. We bring a member of the General Assembly in and discuss some of the things they've been working on and how it might affect you, the Rhode Island citizen. And this gentleman is no stranger to Capitol TV. We've interviewed him many times. It's good to have him back, the Honorable State Representative Frank Ferri. Representative, it's good to see you.
Hi, Dave. It's great to be back.
You know, I know you've been very busy, and you can hear the bell in the background. Session's about to start. We appreciate you taking time to talk with us. I know you have a big rally coming up regarding legislation that you've introduced about payday loans. How's that whole thing going?
Well, the rally you're speaking of is actually a mayor's press conference on payday loans. I think we have Mayor Avedisian, Mayor Fung, Mayor Diosa, and I'm trying to remember who else is going to be there, but it's going to be a mayor's press conference talking about the payday loan reform and how they support it and how it's needed in Rhode Island.
Well, I know that you believe the interest rates that these firms charge is outrageous and something legislatively needs to be done.
Right. Well, the effective interest rate is 260%. Now, I just want to make it clear that the legislation that I put in does not eliminate payday loans. They'll still be able to make payday loans, but it will adjust the interest rate to 36%, which is legislation for small loan lenders. So in 2005, there was a special exemption to take them out of small loan lender legislation so they could charge these exorbitant high interest rates. But now my legislation will take that special exemption away, and which 36% still is a high rate. It's also what the military, U.S. military has. Several years ago, the military realized that payday lending was a threat to our national security because these payday loan stores were setting up around our military bases in the U.S., and a lot of our young military people were getting caught up in it. So our own Jack Reed was a leader on that, and now any active military person cannot be charged more than 36%. Well, we think that's what it should be here also.
You know, I have a friend in Michigan who owns some of these payday loan places, and as I recall, the interest rates there were pretty exorbitant as well. He would tell me, Dave, the banks have turned their back on the people that we deal with. The conventional lending institutions, the neighborhood banks, the credit unions, etc., won't do business with these people. It's very high risk. That would be the argument he would give me, because when I challenged him on the amount of interest he was charging, that was his comeback. To that you say?
Well, actually this is a national consideration, because the President of the United States has made this a priority, and there is going to be reform across the country. That argument, and the banks are adjusting to this. We do have in Rhode Island the Capital Good Fund that is making loans. I know the Treasurer is working on this. She's working with the banks. There's actually alternatives in the state.
Well, and you might also argue that because somebody's down on their luck, or maybe has had a bad credit history, that's no reason to exploit that person and take advantage and gouge.
Correct. And by the Pew Institute, they've come out now with 2 reports. 81% of the people who make payday loans are making them for ordinary, everyday expenses. Because the theory behind this was, if there's an emergency, at least this is a way for somebody to go get an emergency money, whatever they needed it for. Maybe it was for tires on their car or whatever, medicine, whatever. But 81% of the people are not even using it for emergencies. And they're not being able to pay it off in 2 weeks. The average person that makes a payday loan rolls that over 8 times.
I know, Representative Ferri, you have worked tirelessly on the issue of same-sex marriage in the state of Rhode Island. Give me your take on the 12-hour plus Senate Judiciary hearing held here recently with hundreds of speakers. What did you make of the whole thing?
I thought the hearing went great. I want to commend Chairman McCaffrey for the 12 hours that he actually sat there and listened, because I want to give him credit for doing that instead of cutting people off. People said their piece. I think it went very well. I think it was a good show of support for why we need marriage equality in Rhode Island, those that it affect, the families that it affect, and how it's going to only be a positive for effect in Rhode Island.
As we tape this, the United States Supreme Court is hearing arguments on Proposition 8 out of California. We'll have to wait to see what happens there. Do you predict that Rhode Island will recognize same-sex marriage? Will there be marriage equality in Rhode Island this session?
Well, I hope so, especially for me and my spouse, Tony. We've been together for 32 years. There's many people in Rhode Island like us in our situation. I am optimistic. I've been working on this for 9 years with marriage equality, and it's actually how I've gotten here to the State House. So I believe it's going to happen.
You know, this isn't exactly scientific, but today I saw a group of people that were holding signs out in front of our building saying honk if you support same-sex marriage. And I heard a lot of horns honked out there, and there seemed to be a disproportionate number of people in support. I wish you and your colleagues in the House the very best.
Thank you very much, Dave.
Thanks for joining us today. And of course, we couldn't do it without you. Thank you so much for watching. For Capitol Television, I'm Dave Barber.